Welcome to this deep dive, where we take fascinating research and really unpack what it means for you.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're diving headfirst into something, well, pretty fundamental. It's about the way our brains and bodies connect with music.
It's a deep connection.
We've got some really compelling stuff here. There's a summary from Neuroscience News covering a big international study.
Right, and the original paper itself, the really in-depth research from Nature Review's Neuroscience.
Exactly. So forget just, tapping your foot along.
Yeah, this research suggests something much more profound, almost a symbiotic relationship between us and the music we hear.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission, really, for this deep dive is to get our heads around a new perspective. It's called neural resonance theory, NRT for short.
NRT. And it offers a really fresh take on why music moves us so deeply, why it hits us sometimes.
And here's the kicker, the sort of mind-bending part. It's suggesting it's not just about our brain predicting the next note, which is what we often thought,
Right, the prediction models.
but about actual genuine physical resonance. Like, think of your absolute favorite song. It might be doing way more to you physically than you ever realized.
That's the core idea. Neural resonance theory, NRT, it basically says that our natural brain rhythms, even body rhythms, actually synchronize. They lock in.
Lock in.
Yeah, with the music's rhythm, its melody, even the harmony. So it's less about your brain being a sort of musical fortune teller, predicting what's coming, and more like your brain, your body, being an instrument itself, one that naturally vibrates, kind of in tune with the music playing.
So wait, it's not just a cognitive thing then, like appreciating the patterns, because that feels like a big shift from some of the earlier ideas, doesn't it?
It is, precisely. Now, don't get me wrong. Our brains are fantastic at picking up patterns and making predictions in music. That definitely happens.
Okay.
But NRT suggests that the foundation of our experience, the really basic level, lies in this direct physical resonance. And it's happening across various levels.
Like where?
Well, from the very first processing in your auditory system, your ears, all the way to the parts of the brain that control movement, that urge to dance or tap.
Wow. That's a really powerful idea. So this concept of our brains and bodies literally becoming the music, as I think one of the researchers put it, what's the evidence? What supports that?
Yay, good question. Well, the research points to a few key findings. First, there's this direct engagement of our own inherent oscillations by the music.
Our own oscillations,
Yeah.
like internal rhythms.
Exactly. Think of the brain as having its own set of natural background rhythms, almost like the gentle sway of a buoy in the ocean. Music, especially with its clear rhythmic structure.
Yeah.
It seems to tap into these existing rhythms. It finds them and kind of amplifies them, creating this synchronized response.
Okay, hang on. So the music isn't just imposing a rhythm onto a blank slate.
No.
It's finding and joining our own internal beat. Is that it?
That's a great way to put it, yes. And the second crucial finding involves what they call shared patterns.
Shared patterns?
Yeah. So elements within the music, things like a steady pulse, the beat, or the relationships between notes and harmony. These seem to mirror stable, resonant patterns that are apparently already present in all of our brains.
Universally.
Universally. So, it doesn't matter if you're a trained musician or someone who's never touched an instrument.
That's what the research suggests. This basic resonance seems to happen regardless of your musical background or training.
What's fascinating here is, well, that really challenges the long-held view that our connection to music is mostly shaped by culture, by learning, by expectations we build up over time.
It does push against that, yeah.
It suggests something deeper, maybe biological, a kind of imperative. If these resonant patterns are truly universal, well, it suddenly makes more sense why a simple beat can get almost everyone moving, right? No matter where they're from.
That's a really insightful point. It connects the dots in a new way. And this whole idea of a fundamental biological connection, it opens up some really exciting possibilities when you think about the implications of NRT.
Okay, like what? We'll take the therapeutic potential, for instance.
Oh.
If our brains and bodies are genuinely resonating with music in this physical way, then maybe carefully chosen musical interventions could have a much more direct, maybe more powerful effect.
On what kind of things?
On conditions where regulating internal rhythms is really crucial. Things like stroke rehabilitation or helping manage the motor symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Even potentially in addressing mood disorders like depression, where internal states feel out of sync.
Just thinking about using music in such a targeted way.
Yeah.
It's pretty mind-blowing, actually.
Absolutely. And it branches out. Imagine, say, developing AI that could create music specifically designed to induce beneficial resonance states for therapy or maybe just well-being.
Emotionally intelligent AI, almost.
Sort of, yeah. Or think about education. Could new tools leverage this natural resonance to make learning rhythm or pitch more intuitive, more effective?
That makes sense.
And then there's the big picture, the cross-cultural level. NRT offers a pretty compelling biological explanation for why music is such a universal thread in the human experience. It might connect us through these shared biological responses underneath all the cultural variations.
Here's where it gets really interesting. So when we talk about pulse and harmony in music, NRT is saying these are basically tapping into stable patterns already inside us.
Precisely. The theory proposes that these key musical elements, the beat, the way chords progress, they're like reflections of these stable, resonant patterns that exist within the brain's own dynamics.
Okay.
And it's not just about what we hear in our heads. These principles seem to extend right through our nervous system, from the auditory pathways processing the sound, down to the spinal cord, and even influencing our limbs, our physical movements when we feel that urge to move to the music.
Wow. It's like our internal landscape, neurologically speaking, and the music's landscape. They sort of become one and the same for a moment.
That's a really good way to think about it, exactly. They're researchers in that Nature Reviews neuroscience paper. They talk about these as the fundamental dynamical principles of human brain mechanisms. Big phrase, but it gets at something core.
Musical neurodynamics. Yes, the paper's titled, right? It really captures that feeling of music as a dynamic force interacting with our brains.
It does, and the abstract hits these key concepts. Neural synchronization, brains locking in step, resonance, obviously, stability, these inherent patterns, attunement, that feeling of being in sync with the music, and this strong sense of anticipation. But here, the anticipation arises not just from learned prediction, like we thought before, but perhaps more fundamentally from this deep physical connection, this resonance with the musical structure itself.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it feels like music isn't something we just passively receive, like a signal coming in.
No, not at all.
It's something we actively, physically engage with on a deep neurological level, almost like a conversation between the sound waves in our very being.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it really gets to the heart of neural resonance theory. It's this active participation, this dynamic synchronization. It's less listening to and more resonating with.
So what's the main takeaway here? It sounds like this neural resonance theory offers a really profound shift in how we understand our relationship with music, more than just liking a tune.
I think the core insight really is this. Our brains and bodies seem to possess this inherent tendency, maybe even a need, to synchronize with music. And this process goes significantly beyond just our amazing cognitive ability to predict what's coming next in a melody.
It's deeper.
It's about a fundamental physical resonance. And that resonance shapes our experience of music in a very deep, very meaningful way.
And this resonance idea, it has these huge, far-reaching implications we talked about for therapy, for healing.
Right, how we might approach those.
For how we might develop new technologies, maybe AI, maybe learning tools.
Yeah, new ways to interact with sound.
How we learn and teach music itself, and even maybe understanding why music is such a profoundly universal and unifying human experience across cultures.
Absolutely. It suggests the power of music isn't solely rooted in, say, cultural associations or learned emotional responses, though those are obviously important too, but that it's also deeply embedded in our biology, in the very physics of how our nervous system works.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Well, could this natural resonance we apparently have with music, could it be a key? A key to unlocking new pathways for learning, maybe for healing, maybe just for connecting with each other on a deeper level.
It certainly poses the question.
It really makes you consider that music isn't just something we listen to, but maybe, in a very real sense, something we actually become.
Something we resonate with.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it's given you maybe a new way to think about the incredible power of music next time you put your headphones on.